Before I start talking about the strategies of peak performers, I think it's really important to talk about what peak performance is not. You hear about all these Silicon Valley solopreneurs, entrepreneurs, startups and fintechs that are just, when they're interviewed, they say, oh yeah, I operate on 4 hours sleep a night. I get up and I work X amount of hours above and beyond what needs to be done because I can do it. And they think they're amazing, but they're not amazing. They're anything but, because that's a surefire way of getting yourself in physical and mental health down the road. And there's only so far you can kick the can down the road before it catches up, right? So I really want to just tackle all the things that peak performance is not. And I think it's really important to clarify that, because there's so many misconceptions about if I'm going to be operating at high performance or peak performance. What does that mean? Doesn't mean I have to work 24/7 to get things done. Do I have to add more into my workflow to get things done? No, it doesn't. In fact, it's the opposite. I know that sounds contradictory, but bear with me. And we'll be going into those strategies further down the road. But today is just talking about what it's not, okay? And it definitely is not working at a pace at 100 miles an hour and then working at that 100 miles an hour, long hours every day, burning the midnight oil. No, it's not that, okay? This is the surefire way, as I said, getting yourself in physical and mental health issues, right? So it's not that. And it's not also about skipping meals because you have to meet deadlines and doing that on a regular basis, because again, you're compromising your health. You need to be fueled properly in order to achieve. The less you do that, the less you will achieve. You may get some short-term results, but that will lead to long-term issues, right? So it's very important to understand that as well. And along with that, if you're struggling with time, it's not about cutting corners. That again, just to get a deadline done, that could maybe compromise your values and your service and your quality for your internal customers, but more importantly, for your external end users. That's really important. So again, not the things to do to achieve peak performance, right? And again, if you really think about working really hard, we all have to work really, really hard, but we've also got personal lives. A lot of people have got families, they've got kids to look after. When you're burning the midnight oil and then you have to look after your families, you've got a lot of extra hour activities to do when you get home. That again will lead to failure down the road. And again, not even that, even if you are keeping healthy enough, you cannot compromise the other parts of your life for the long term. Yes, certain things will spike in the short term, but they should not be for the long term, because guess what? If you keep doing that, you may not have a wife or kids to go home to because you're never there. Okay. And this happens quite a lot. I see this a lot myself in industry where people have put everything to become the best leader. They've set this challenge and goal to get to the top, and they've done that at the compromise of their health and their relationships. That's not a good thing. So again, this is not what peak performance is all about. And again, I've mentioned it already about short-term focus, working hard in the short term. But again, just to get a deadline across the road, you're working really hard to get that stuff, you're burning the midnight oil, but all those things can only happen short term. You cannot do that medium and long term, so they're not sustainable. So again, whatever you do, it has to have a medium to long term view. And you need to be able to be comfortable to say, yeah, I can do this for the long term. Burning the midnight oil is not one of them. And then again, really to summarize, it's not about compromising your values, your ethics, your morals, yourself, your health, and then your team. It's not about being a dictator where you're pushing your teams to go above and beyond on a regular basis, having them burn the midnight oil. It's not that, because guess what? You may get short-term results again, but they will either leave if that keeps happening, or even worse, they will stay and leave and cut back on contribution, and they won't be high performing. So again, it's a choice. What do you want for the long term? Because the way I see it, it's all about making sure you're fully fueled. It's like a car on a motorway. Car on a motorway, you put it on cruise control. It's efficient and it's effective. You know where you're going to reach your destination because you've set it on cruise control. You know the time frame. It's the same. You want to be efficient and effective. And again, like a car, if you don't maintain that car, if you're doing long journeys every day, if you don't maintain that car, it's going to burn out. It won't work. is the same as you. You cannot keep going. It's all about rest, recharge, refuel, and redo. And it's extremely important to understand that equation before you start doing all the things I've just described, because you can only push so hard for so long. And that is the anti-peak performance. So again, you're probably wondering, with all these things that I've talked about, where does it leave time to do work and actually be peak performance? Well, we're going to go into that, and we're going to talk about strategies to ensure you can do this at a pace for the long term, so you can sustain the gains over time and continue that. Get up every day and do it. Keep that pace going for the long term. I hope this resonates. I hope this makes sense. If you have any questions, get in touch. In the meantime, this is Shay saying, have a great day.